that exist that are usually propagated by vested interests that ensure that the policymakers don't have the courage to make such bold and effective decisions. And this is exactly what we are going to fight against. And this power division will, inshallah, in the near future, you'll see us make very serious corrections in the fault lines that exist in the power sector. So let me go back and, how much time? What is the time? Oh, it's 11. So I'll try to speak for the next 15 minutes, Dr. Saab, if you allow. And then I could take questions. And I do apologize for not being able to stay with you until 1:30, where I could have heard other speakers, but I'll make sure that we get a report of whatever is spoken about in this particular conference, and so that we can put that in as policy making advice for us. So basically we have the transmission system, the distribution system, and the generation part of the power sector. The generation part has not been, we haven't added generation in a healthy manner in the past, as I said. So in the past, whatever has been added onto the profile of the power sector as generation has not been on a least cost methodology. Whatever we have committed for the future, those investments have been made by the private sector and the public sector. It has not been on a least cost methodology. So out of the 17,000 megawatts that are going to be added on until 2034, only 87 megawatts is on a least cost methodology. Who's at fault? We are. Who's going to correct it? We will try to do it. So IGCEP, which is the basic planning of how power needs to be added on, where it needs to be added on, what technology needs to be added on in terms of our portfolio, this has been done in other than the least cost methodology basis. So SIN says, I want X amount of wind to be invested into. KPK says, I want X amount of hydro to be added into. We say we want coal or RLNG or whatever else. We've got transmission constraints because of which we have to make inefficient decisions. But our policy making and our policy making interventions on the generation side need a serious reboot. And that's what we're doing. We're looking at the least cost violations that projects like Bhasha would have to pay for through the PSDP, and that part of the burden cannot be put on to the consumer for them to be able to finance that through the tariff, which has already become so unaffordable. So if Bhasha needs to come onto the system, then out of the so-called 7 billion or 6 billion US dollars worth of a cost, not more than 2 billion can be put on to the consumers. The rest of the cost has to be taken by the public sector development program. So the evacuation cost of Bhasha, if it's going to cost us $3 billion to put in the transmission system alone, just because Bhasha is a hydel project doesn't make sense.
वफाकी वज़ीर तवानाई सरदार अवैस लगारी